Hello, dear listeners. Hello. That's me, Stefan Repin. So I'm the moderator here on this lovely webcast, and I'm gonna present you the people who are with me today. So here is Stefan Turnwald. He's the founder and the managing director of CECon. There is Eduardo Varela, the co-founder of Deepful, a big Formula One fan. So if you're gonna hear some Formula One associations, then that's Eduardo. There is Marina Fernandez, the sales training coordinator of Brazil's biggest pharma company, EMS. So I'll start with a small intro. So every pharma leader who's following this knows that there is a problem. You basically invest millions and your reps practice real conversations maybe 2-3 times per year. There is a lot of logistics, you have to gather everyone from their territories into one room. Takes a lot of time and money. And the manager bandwidth for this case is the bottleneck. So digital training gets maybe 20% if you're lucky. So today we're showing you a company that solved this at a 2,000 rep scale. So that's EMS in Brazil. Not a theory, not a pilot. It's a real case with fully deployed award-winning model with like 12 months of data at least. So we'll show you the models, we'll show you the numbers, we'll show you a demo. Everything is going to be on the table, and we'll prove you why what Deepful does is meaningful and why it's going to change the way your company operates. Without further ado, I'm going to give my microphone to Stefan Turnwald, so he gives his keynote intro for this. Stefan, the floor is yours.
Yes, and great for having me here on the session. So thanks to Stefan Repin and Eduardo Varela from Deepful. I'm in the pharmaceutical industry for more than 25 years on the corporate side in bigger organizations like Novartis and GSK, but also in smaller startups. And I've been working across almost all the different market settings and indications. And I spent those 25 years mostly in either capability building, functional excellence, or transformation related roles. And my view on sales training is that in nowadays environment, it's not sufficient anymore to tell reps what to do. If you stop at the level of understanding, you will miss out a lot of the opportunities to change the quality of your field force engagement. From my point of view, it's crucial to plan training and capability building, having the end on mind, and carefully looking into setting up the activation of the shared knowledge, manage message quality and message discipline in the conversations, but also use innovative tools to allow reps to anticipate and prepare for particular situations they're going to encounter in engaging with their customers. So this is kind of my perspective here, that I'm always looking for tools, for solutions that help drive efficiency in capability building and transformation. And I'm definitely see the potential of what is offered by Eduardo and his team here on the call.
Amazing. So these the numbers I saw in the case study were like not normal, like a lot of engagement, way too much. It looked like magic. And then when I checked out the actual numbers, I was like, this is like unreally good. So let's see what normal looks like with Eduardo, Marina. Eduardo, the stage is all yours. Show us how wonderful looks like.
Thank you, Stefan. Thank you, both Stefan. Hi, everyone. So I'm Eduardo, the CEO of Deepful here. Thank you, Marina, for being here. MS, one of our greatest partners here. So it's awesome that we share this screen here. What I'm going to do here is going to show you a little bit of how Deepful works and a little bit of the platform. And then I'm going to invite Marina to bring, the case study that we did together. Okay. I'm going to share my screen really quickly. 1 second. Can you see my screen? Stefan, can you let me know if you are seeing the screen?
Yes, give me a second. Add to the scene. Yes, you're at the scene. Go.
All right. So everyone, so as everyone know, we are AI powered roleplay for pharma field excellence. But before we talk about the AI platform, I'd like to talk about something else, about one Brazilian idol called Ayrton Senna. Ayrton Senna is one of the biggest pilots ever lived. He won 3 world championships in Formula One and died tragically in Imola in 1994. The thing that made Ayrton such an outlier because he trained every day, constantly 10, 12 hours a day in the track with different scenarios, different weather, different tactics. So he would bring all his energy into understanding how the car worked in reality. The problem is, in that time, there was no way of doing that instead of just doing on the track. So you have to do it on the track. And that would make Formula One very, very dangerous, not safe at all, because you would have to test it and use your instinct, to try things differently in actually in the track. So unfortunately, he died in 1994. A few races before, another pilot died, and a lot other pilots died in 1980s, right?
Hmm.
And then we can see that the simulator came on, and with the simulator, pilots just such as Ayrton Senna could try every tactic, different weather, different scenarios, in a very controlled environment where it was safe, right? That
Hmm.
made fatal accidents to reduce by over 90% since 1980s. So what we can see here in this graph, very simply, is that on the Ayrton Senna era, you can see that the driver risk was really high, the training hours on
Hmm.
track really high, safety was really low, the cost of preparation really high because you had to go in the track, so a lot of maintenance, a lot of gasoline, a lot of team crew that you need to do that. And the consistency wasn't that great because if you have a different amount of hours that you practice because of weather and everything, your consistency will change. Once the simulator came, you can see that the training hours on track went really low, so people can actually prepare themselves in a simulator. The cost went really down, the driver's risk really down, safety really high, so because people can actually see all the possibilities before actually going in the track, right? And the consistency came really high because let's say you have a substitute driver, you need someone to replace someone, the driver can be training every day without having to go into the track, so he keeps consistency on the team, right? And then with the simulator, Formula One actually adopt that as part of their routine. So every time there's a Grand Prix, every time there's a race, they train on the simulator 2 to 4 full days of simulator work, 6 to 8 hours per day. So it's just like any other preparation in other fields, but they need to get that learning curve of that really new circuit, that new Grand Prix in the simulator before actually going in the track in order to reduce the dangers and the risk that there will be, right?
Hmm.
So that's kind of obvious what we are now, right? So the parallel that I'm creating. So we are the AI simulator for real conversations between reps, MSLs, and HCPs. So instead of going into the field with your reps without the proper training and leaving all this revenue behind, unrealized revenue, because you have this big learning curve in the beginning of trying and error with doctors and not getting constant feedback from your managers, you can actually use a simulator to get yourself on 100% performance before actually going to the field. That's what we do. And the way we do this, now I'm going to show you a little bit of the platform. But before I'm talking the show the platform, let me talk about the concept. Basically, the simulator, you can create AIs that could be physicians, could be doctors, could be pharmacists, could be buyers, could be any kind of persona that you need. You can instruct them with real knowledge, clinical data, medical data, marketing data, everything that you have. They can actually teach the AI, and the rep will play with them in different scenarios. So, for example, to present a new product that you're gonna launch, and the doctor is gonna act like, for example, a cardiologist that would talk with the rep for 12 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, bringing all these objections, bringing all these questions that is very common in the field, right? So the rep can practice, but also get a report. A rep will get a report in order to understand how to be better, to be coached, in order to improve their skills, but also their managers can get a report in order for them to understand what they need to do in order for this rep to improve their performance, their entire team. So let me show you really quickly the platform. Can you see here the platform?
Yeah, we can see we're on deep falls. Yeah.
Perfect. I'm going to show you an example here of Dr. Marcelo Andrade. This is a AI doctor, of course, created by us with a fake medication where you can see there's a briefing. So every time a rep comes in the platform, you can see information that they have to be prepared before they start the conversation. Once they want to start the session, I'll show you one quick video here. Let me change the screen about my interaction that I did with Dr. Marcelo.
Good morning. Thanks for coming in. So, what exactly do you have to present to me today from Neopharmas?
Hi, doctor. Thanks for having me here. I'm here to present you a new medication called Retirex. Have you heard about it, doctor?
I can't say I'm familiar with Retirex yet. Let's get straight to the point. What clinical data do you have that actually prove Retirex brings superiority or clear advantages over the generics already available?
Doctor, if you have 10 seconds, I'm going to open this presentation and show you a little bit in the graphics that we have here. Let's jump one more slide here. Here you can see that the biggest differentiator is the plasma concentration that takes over 12 hours. Can you see here?
Yes, I see the curve. But a smoother plasma concentration alone doesn't convince me. How exactly does this intelligent release translate into better adherence or fewer adverse events in real patients?
So as you can see, this is an example of a conversation using visual weight, which is something that a lot of the reps do in their iPads, or if they're doing a call, they share their screen to show clinical studies, or MSLs could use that as well. And the conversation could go both ways. Could be the doctor interrogating the rep, asking questions about the product, or could be something more deep, where the rep or the MSL can ask questions about patient symptoms, disease, everything to the doctor, and then the AI goes, creating this more complex conversation there. It's all customizable. So after that conversation, there's always a report that is generated. And this report is fully customizable as well. So you can create metrics that could be categorical, could be numerical, qualitative, and we'll analyze the entire conversation, understand how to calculate the answer, and then bring the answer here on the report. So very simple like that. And the beauty of this thing is you can actually see the results of your team. So for your other to understand, where are the gaps of my team, not just an individual person. So where I'm making a mistake as a group, right? You can see everyone in this graph, and then you can ask the AI questions where the AI will bring answers to coach you how to improve your team, to create new training. So, for example, if I wanted to ask why was this so low, for example, the AI could bring answers like this, and then with these insights, I would create proper training in order to do it again and see if they evolved. Right? Do this assessment again, in order for them to evolve. And to finalize the most important features, we have a lot more, but I think for this session, to finalize with the most important features, I can show you that to create this scenario is completely very simple, right? So first of all, you create the persona. So you can create a doctor. You have many languages here. Yeah, you could pick even German, Italian, Portuguese. Even if you don't have it here in the platform, you can add it. And then you can write the guardrails. So guardrails are things that keep the doctor in the conversation, which is important for the AI to understand where not to go. The personality prompt is something that every pharma usually have. So usually pharmas have types of personalities, types of doctors. That's where you input it. It could be long, could be short, could be complex, could be simple here. But to finalize, I think it's important to say that on this main context part of the platform, you can put all the objections, the questions, all the clinical data, all the information that you need to instruct this AI doctor to be realistic and for them to act the way you want them to act in this conversation. And last but not least, here is the performance report. So as I showed you before, every conversation generates a report, right? And here's how you create it. You give a title, you give a metric, you explain the AI how to calculate that, and then you define it's going to be categorical numerical text, right? So that's pretty much very simple the way we do it. So to because of time, I'm going to stick with these features, but it's important to mention that we have other features, like for example, the pre-call is something that you can actually prepare a strategy before actually starting the call. We have the leaderboard, it's something to get the reps very engaged with the platform when you get competition going to see who's better and in which scenario. We can actually see the evolution dashboard, so you can actually see how the rep is evolving every time they do a scenario. So we have a lot other features, but I think for the purpose of this webinar, I think it's important now to get deep a little bit in results. So that's why I look ask Marina now. Let's stop sharing here. Ask Marina here to please join the conversation, and if you please can talk a little bit about the experience that we have with EMS.
Hello, everyone. Eduardo, are you going to show the presentation?
I can't actually. If you wanna be the driver, or I
I
can
don't have
show you.
the final version. I
Okay,
think it's better if you show, okay?
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
sharing.
yeah.
I'll share it
Edu,
here.
Edu will show the presentation, and I think it's cool if Marina. Marina, overall, how was your feeling of working with Deepful?
Yeah, so first of all, thank you, Eduardo and Stephens, for the opportunity. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm Marina. I'm from AMS. It's a big pharma here in Brazil. And my goal here is to really show how Deepful is changing the way we see sales training and the way we do our medical detailing. So we started almost a year ago, and we here in Brazil we have this way to say that we are collecting the fruits from the big tree, and we are seeing a lot of
Nice.
results. It's been
Mhm.
really good. So okay, you wanna? Okay, perfect.
I'm
So
sharing.
one
Yeah.
one more. This one. Okay. So my goal here is to really show how Deepflow is changing our mindset there in AMS. And in this page, you can see the challenge that we were facing a year ago. So we had a roleplay project that was very important to align technical concepts, strategy, and both hard and soft skills from our sales force. It really was important, but we had some big gaps in that project. What kind of gaps I'm talking about? First, we had low scalability and small samples of the groups. Why? We have a sales force that it's all over Brazil, and we are not able to be with everyone all the time. So we used to choose one rep in a state, another one to try this training, but we couldn't see the whole operation or customize it the way we needed. Also, we had a low frequency of this training, which made us constantly behind strategy and scientific alignment that we needed. This leads to zero visibility by our leadership. So our leadership wasn't seeing the importance of this project, and it really was important. And more than that, our team felt really exposed. So they had this feeling that they needed to show something that they weren't prepared for. Then we found Lipful and everything changed. So today, I'm sure that our first big step in digital transformation was this partnership with Deepful. And if you ask me why is so important for us, I can say that after Deepful, we started to measure what really is our medical detailing, not only guessing, but with the platform, we can see what our message detailing really is. We can calibrate our team with the objections, with everything, so they can train in okay, it's a simulator way, but it we go where we need to. Also, we have introduced the the idea of self-development for the team. Now they understand that the more they practice, the more they get to perfection, and this is like a key thing to our mindset. And more than that, we discovered the identity of AMS medical detailing. Now we know how we want to look. And for a pharma company that lives this, that breeds medical detailing, those three things are very important. Okay, talking a little about results. So I'm going to explain each of one. And the first thing everyone asks me is how we got to 97% adopted across the sales force. So we did a full kickoff plan of this project. We explained in detail how it was going to work, how it was going to be part of our sales reps routine, and why we were giving them this opportunity. And it seems simple, but I think that was the key success, because everyone understood that this training is coming to be part of our routine. It's not a one-time thing. We are really going to go to this place. So this is why everyone got in the routine like daily. The NPS, you remember me when I say that we had a project that it wasn't good. So the NPS was minus 13. It was really bad. It was really detractor. And after a little while, after Deepful, we did it again, and it was 72. So we got an NPS that moved from detractor to promoter. Why? Because everyone was seeing this development thing I said. It is easy. They know how to navigate into the platform. So it was simpler for them to do this kind of training. After a little, we have a little more than a year with Dipful, and we had more than 21,000 sessions completed. And we continue to see this strong CSAT score, because everyone likes the platform and they truly see the self-development in using it. So now we are in a level of maturity with the project that we are starting to connect the project to measurable prescription growth. It's difficult, and everyone that works with training and development know how complicated this is, but we are starting to see some correlation, and it's our duty to analyze and to know how to optimize this. Okay, Edu. And now the last part that I want to show you is that we got recognized in a Brazilian's awards. I had the courage to submit this project to Lupa de Ouro's awards. And when I say courage, it really is, because it's award here in Brazil. It's focused on pharma, but it looks more for products than to projects. So we analyze how the product is growing. We have a low category that looks for digital marketing. We had space for this, so we tried, and we were in third place, and it's really grateful for me to share this award with Eduardo and the entire Dipful team and MS, because we know that we were pioneers, we were disruptive, and we were recognized for that.
Very cool. Very cool award. Yeah.
Cool job. Cool job.
Sorry?
We have some questions already.
Okay.
Why don't you? I think why don't we finish and then we'll take the questions on. Let's do that.
Okay, Marina. Yeah, I think there was two topics there. Do you want to comment, or are you done with that?
No, I think that's it.
Okay. I think okay. We can move on, Stefan.
All right, amazing, cool. So we have a few questions here. So there's Ludmila here, who's a leader in as far as understanding the learning environment in Europe. So she has a question for Marina. I'm going to pull it down here. Dear Marina, how long did it take you to implement this platform, and how quickly did you achieve employee adoption of the new approach? What KPIs did you use to measure effectiveness?
Okay, so it took, I would say, maybe 6 months to have 100% of the of the sales force doing the training. But we
Mhm.
started like slow, and then we, how can I say, we started slow, then we got bigger, you know.
Mhm.
So first we tried with a group of reps, then we enhanced to a state, then we got to all Brazil. So I think that 6 months is a good time that you can put everyone to do it, and the TD group to understand also how the platform works. And what KPIs did I use to measure effectiveness? First of all, NPS and CSAT to see how the teams likes the platform. But now we use score. So what score are they getting in the simulation, and how are they connecting with the physician? So this is really important for us. Like we don't want to seem we don't want the team only to say about the product. They need to know how to talk to how can I say this, to learn the objections that the physicians have. This is the kind of thing that we measure in the platform.
Awesome. So kind of a hot chair. Like I know that, for example, in automotive they use this as well. So they do role playing, but they put a hot chair and someone on the hot chair, and then everyone shoots, questions at
Mhm.
that person. But this is, I think, way more effective wherever Deepful does. I'm not seeing any other questions from Ludmila, so I hope she explained that. There is another question from Cicero Carvalho. Hi, Cicero, how are you? So there is another question for Marina, and I'm gonna pull it up here. Give me a second, from Cicero. All right, you're very popular today, Marina. Huh?
Oh yes.
Everybody loves you. So how long did it take to see tangible results? For example, improvements in HCP interactions, report quality, or consistency in product messaging?
I think this is almost immediately. They have the feedback, right? Right, they do the training, then they have the feedback, so they learn what they discussed, and we have a lot of feedbacks that this training has impacted in their weekly routine, in their daily routine. So we use real objections that they can train to talk with the physician. So of course, the more we train, the more we get effective. But I think in a short time we already can see this type of results. And of course it's complicated to measure this with sales, but we truly believe that there's a there that training and performance is aligned with growth and performance and sales
Oh,
performance.
awesome. All right, cool. I love the answer. So Cicero is here, but it is not saying anything. All right, thank you, Cicero, for your question. We'll go with Gonzalo. Gonzalo, Irena is asking, did you implement one? Okay, let me pull out the question to the screen. 1 second, Gonzalo. All right. Did you implement one scenario or several scenarios? Maybe you can explain the structure implemented. One scenario per sales line and so on.
We have implemented several scenarios. We talk with a lot of specialties. I don't know if this is the right term. Eduardo, you can
Specialties.
specialties. So we have the cardiologists, we have the orthopedics, we have the dermatologists, and a lot. So each sales team talks with one of these physicians, and we do the cases that are specific for each one, and it's dynamic. So this week I'm talking about a product, about a scenario, a patient scenario. In the other week, I'm talking about another one. We are really hands-on in the platform, and the TD team, so my team, the training and development team, we work directly at the Deepful platform. Of course, Eduardo's teams are always supporting us, but it's a good thing about the platform that we have autonomy to do whatever we want. Let's say like that.
Okay, awesome. All right, I like the answer. So I'll take now the microphone and ask Stefan Turnwald a question, which is going to be a little bit sneaky, which is Stefan has a lot of experience with pharma. So I would like to ask him this following question: why do you think Deepful is successful and is going to be more successful than other initiatives you've seen across the board with like digital software and all kind of stuff with pharma whatsoever? And two is, do you think this experience with Brazilian pharma is applicable to Swiss or European pharma, let's say American pharma? That would be the question.
Yeah, the big challenge in pharma is usually this not invented here attitude. When something works somewhere else, it never will work in your environment. But what we forget quite often is the fact that based on human psychology, we experience our environment by the differences we are spotting. So unfortunately, we're focusing too much on the 5 to 10% that might be different, leaving out on the fact that there are 95% we share in common. And what definitely we share in common in Europe or in other geographies with Brazil is that if you want to drive a sustainable transformation, especially a digitalization, you need to ensure there is a positive experience on the customer side and there's a positive experience on the employee side. And this is what you also nicely can see in the data Marina's been sharing with us, because NPS went up, CSAT went up, and if there's a positive feedback on using the platform, you have adoption, and with adoption you have traction. And I think this is the one foremost important aspect here, that using this platform at scale in EMS shows how well the Deepful platform is supporting the value provided to customer, but also the employee experience of the reps.
Awesome. In the meantime, we got some questions from Gonzalo and Cicero. Okay, so I guess the question is for Marina and Eduardo. So I'm gonna show you the question. So the question from Gonzalo is: are you using the platform also for recruitment of sales reps as assessment centers? If yes, how was the experience?
Can I
AMS, in AMS we are not using, so I think Eduardo can contribute a little more.
Yeah, so we do use it. Actually, our main use case is training, of course. But once we start working with pharma, sometimes they see other use cases that they can actually use the platform, right? And we have a few use cases here in Brazil with companies such as MS, but other companies that actually use that to do recruiting of sales reps. So instead of having a recruitment, pretending to be a doctor and to do a case study and everything, they sent an AI a scenario for the rep or the potential rep to talk with the AI, and they have the results all in the platform. So yes, it can be used. It's not our typical use case that we sell, but yes, it can be used, and it is being used by some of the companies.
Awesome. Okay, cool. So there is another question here from Cicero. I'm gonna pull it up. Great, thank you, Marina. Now for Eduardo. Oh, sorry, this is Eduardo. You're popular today as well. So it says, how does the platform integrate with existing corporate systems like LMS or CRM tools? Again, Viva, IQVIA, Pitcher. What kind of implementation, effort, and support do clients usually require?
So we are a standalone platform. We actually don't see really the big need of integrating with the system, at least on the beginning of the partnership. So there's no big reason because it works by itself. All right. So you feed the AI in the platform, just like Marina said. We actually gave workshops to EMS for the trainers to actually learn how to create scenarios and everything. We do the service ourselves as well for companies. So it doesn't have the really requirement to integrate with them. With that said, there's a few things that we do, right? So there's a few companies that, yes, they do use LMS, and inside the LMS they create their learning journey, and by the end, let's say they create the assessment, and the assessment could be a link integrated with our platform. And because we are actually integrated with Microsoft, right, it's very seamless. So you actually put the link in the LMS, you click it, you already authorize your login because you're at Microsoft, right, at your company, and then you have the integration, all the platform for you to do that assessment. And the last thing I think is important to understand is there's another way to integrate that. For us, it's simple, and the company sometimes they do it. Is every time you create a scenario, just like I said, you can create in the end a webhook, and that webhook actually you can actually direct an URL where all that information from that report from the specific person can be sent, right? So if I want to have that information in a BI, for example, to compare performance data, prescription data against my training data, I can do that, right? So I'll just put the webhook, put the URL, you spit the information to your BI, your system, your CRM, wherever you want to have that information, and then you can compare that information internally the way they want to do it. That specific use case, both of them are very common, right? So both being the LMS as a part of a link and having webhooks generating information sending to your system, both are very very common to do it, but does not demand an integration with Viva, Salesforce, which would be something way more complex to do it.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I think it doesn't make sense to integrate now unless you integrate with LMS later on. Maybe there is some point. I have a question for Marina though. So, like, let's say when we worked with pharma looked very skeptically at a lot of things. Have to be included in the vendor list, and a lot of things like that. And all of them will be eventually, all the AI initiatives nowadays, they go through a very strong litmus test, and then they need to see some proof of ROI as in return of investment. So Marina, at what point did you have this like click, right? Saying, okay, when this investment we did with Deepful is like undeniably like it brings us the ROI. And what moment did you like did you feel like this is like making like a lot of change for us?
I think that without a doubt, when we started to see the power of self-development in our teams, because Brazil is huge, our sales force is huge, and it is when we talk about health, when we are treating like people's life, this touches our heart. So we need to be sure that everything and everyone knows what they are doing and what they are saying, and that they are giving the physicians the best choice and their patients best choice. So I know that I said a lot, but what do I mean? With this platform, we can touch our reps heart because they are training for a better work that they are going to do, and consequently they are going to give the best choice to the physicians. I think that when our sales teams started to see that and really started to use the platform as this place to self-development, to training, to improve their results, it was like the key point for us.
Okay, awesome. I got a question here for Stefan. Stefan is quite popular today as well. Question for Stefan Tornwald from Gonzalo. Do you see also this platform for coaching, training for first-line sales managers?
Yeah, thanks to you, Gonzalo, for the question. This is an excellent one. And the key question is not whether one could use the Deepful platform for also training first-line managers. And I would assume you would then also like to make first-line managers observe calls, identify issues, and then adequately react on what has been observed. The bigger challenge is you to have a very good understanding on how you define quality of sales calls. My experiences in the traditional environment, if you run, for example, sales villages, you have the challenge that if you have a certain number of first-line managers in the room, most likely one observation is rated all across the scale you're using. So definitely there is a value in using the platform to calibrate the understanding of quality with first-line managers. And if you have this understanding of quality, then you also can build scenarios to be used to simulate kind of co-writes of first-line managers with customers to really train the first-line managers in doing their job. But it stands and falls with the understanding of what quality looks like in your organization.
Thank you, Stefan, for the answer. There is another. Well, you're becoming popular too. There's a question from Ludmila Grishko. I'm gonna pull it up. It says, have you tried using AI translation for different languages? If yes, how was the quality?
You can use it in different languages. This is not the issue. The challenge is if in a different country, you may face slightly different scenarios. And this is a matter of the market context, the competitive environment. This is a matter of the culture. What is kind of the rep customer relationship? And I would look at it in a more different way. Using the platform allows you to easily tailor to specific needs. So the language is not the issue, but if then you identify slight differences, just simple aspect, if you look into average call times, then there are huge differences if you compare the US with LATAM, if you compare it with Europe. Even in Europe, in some markets in the same disease area, there are differences from 2 to 3 minutes to up to 15 minutes. This all comes with different kind of requirements. But using an AI platform is one of the easiest ways to accommodate all these differences. But maybe, Eduardo, you can relate to that position.
About languages today, I think AI is very capable of speaking in more than 100 languages really, really well. I think, of course, there's some curatorship that should be done. So for example, when you're talking about the Nordics, it's and then you create, for example, in Danish, Norwegian, Swedish, all these languages. It's important for someone from the Swedish team, for example, to take a look at the prompt and make sure it's the right term that's being used, the right pronunciation. We have actually tools inside the platform to create dictionaries, or pronunciation dictionaries to say how you pronounce the medication, because sometimes you have medications that you don't pronounce that way, specifically in different languages, right? So it's important. It's very simple, but I think to do the 99% of the work, but I think the 1% is important to have someone from your team to make sure everything is, very well accurate in your language.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. All right, cool. There is another question from Gonzalo. Gonzalo is very, very eager to ask his question. Marina, popular again. So, question for Marina. Marina, could you share an average how many sessions each sales rep did in 1 year? Oh, I think it's tough.
Great question.
Okay, I'm not so good in math, so I don't have this answer in my head, but what I can say is that the Salesforce do the training all week, 2 times per week. So let's do the math. If we have a 2,000 Salesforce, they do 2 times per week. We have this number that I don't know. So it's a lot. And we have a lot of access of assessments in the in the platform that allow us that.
Pretty cool. All right. I hope Gonzalo is happy with this answer. I had one thing in mind, which is, when we sold, we're thinking about selling, back to my platforms days, we were thinking of selling our platform CRM, but we also sold the CLM to in India. And the problem in India was that they don't really do the sales reps. They just go and then they have a 2-minute visit, right, with a doctor, and they don't really have like a lot of time to explain, right, like what they actually do. They actually sell. The maximum they gave something in, and then they left. And my question would be to probably like Stefan Turnwald around the cultural. You mentioned this, but I want to go maybe in more depth. What cultural things could potentially Deepful see were in their way of getting into the European American, like other markets, other than the language? What other things could be not an issue, but let's say a challenge?
I wouldn't look at it as a challenge. I would more address it as opportunities to be
Okay,
addressed
correct. Yes, correct.
in a
Yeah.
structured way. And definitely one of the challenges is the role of the rep is not perceived as the same across countries. And even within countries, it's not perceived the same depending on the setting, whether you are in specialty, whether you're in rare diseases, whether you are in Gen Med. What is for sure that the better a rep is able to provide value to a customer, the more likely it is the customer is able to get in and to have sufficient face time with the customer. This is for sure. So where I see the huge opportunity of using a platform like Deepful is not to just substitute the traditional training setting. I'm a little bit provocative right now, and I'm exaggerating a little bit, not to step onto anyone's toes. I make it a little bit more extreme, but just think of when our traditional sales training sessions happen. They happen at cycle meetings. Yeah, and the standard scenario is there's the great presentation of the new marketing strategy and the new materials on stage by the marketing team. Then there's a coffee break. After the coffee break, the marketing team is leaving for the hotel pool, and the reps meet with the trainer in the dark room. Okay, so what's happening in the dark room? The trainer is briefing for the role play session, sharing the scenario, and then starting with, and in 2 minutes, we're going to start with the first role play. The pity is in most countries, in most organizations, it's the same trainer spending the rest of the year to work with reps to ensure reps do prepare calls properly, spot the flaw. The beauty right now here is that you have a chance to prepare for an engagement, to be fully aware of the materials you have at hand, and to use this for a prototype testing of your customer engagement. So the more often you go to this tool, the better you will be prepared. The better you will be prepared, the better you will be to adapt in the moment on the requirements of an individual customer. And I think this is getting the most out of the potential that comes with reps. Because if you consider reps just as message delivering machines, you will not be successful in nowadays environment. But if you establish reps for a trusted and valued platform, then you have access and then you earn the right to engage. And I think that this is something that goes far beyond the traditional use case of role play settings. So this could become a standard tool offered to reps to prepare for difficult calls. This could be a standard to allow reps to test solutions based on certain nuances on the customer side, whether this is behavioral preferences, this is attitude, or this is a specific need the customer is kind of facing. So from my point of view, because of the flexibility to factor in so many different aspects into this training environment, you have a huge opportunity to adapt to particular situations, otherwise remaining for a challenge left to the reps in the moment of the engagement.
Awesome. God couldn't even tell more than Stefan did. So thank you, Stefan. It was very comprehensive. Meanwhile, we have a question for Eduardo. All right. Given the compliance and data privacy standards in the pharma industry, how do you ensure traceability and audit readiness of user data and simulation outcomes?
Good question, Cicero. Yeah, that of course, if you get really in detail, I have to call my technical team, but I can say I think the main things here. So I think the first of all, one of the big things that we do here, we have separate databases, right? So each pharma has a database, so to make sure that everything that is inputted in in the system, the AI to train the AI and everything, it belongs to that pharma, so you won't actually share the data between pharmas, right? So that's one of the things that we're doing. Of course, we're following all the GDPR and LGPD and all this standards around the globe that we need to ensure. And in about the end of this year, we are also because of course to get approval from all these European companies that we've been talking, we've been being assessed, right? The security and everything, and it will be much easier if we have the certification of SOC 2, and that's the thing that we've been working in this entire year to get it. And I think about in early January, we're gonna have that ready to go. So that's one of the things that guarantees that we are making sure that we are following all the standards to guarantee data privacy, data security, all the compliance that the farmers around the globe need.
Awesome. All right. Cool. If I would be a customer, I would sign up right away. I I have a question though. Edu, what so when they implement the full, like, let's say a company comes to you and they're like, we love what you guys do, we want to implement the role modeling. What are the most common mistakes or problems they no, I would say mistakes they may make when they're implementing this? Like how would they take the best advantage of like what Deepful has to offer?
Mm, that's a good question. I think bringing to EMS is a good use case because one of the things there's a few farmers that like to work as a tool with the synchronous learning, so with continuous learning, but asynchronously, right? And that demands a proactive, way of for the rep to look for the platform, right? And some of them do, some of them do less, some of them do more, but there's a difference between that. And then there's companies like EMS that install a culture where you can practice every week, this time of a week, two scenarios. Here you go. It's for your best interest and everything. And then you have 97% of adoption, right? Like just Marina showed. So if I can recommend, a way of getting all this training culture to be done, I think the path of EMS is I think is the best path to help the reps to improve, really quickly because it actually gives them the opportunity, the time, they you have the time to do it in a proper to actually plan ahead, to do it, and then you're always constantly getting your knife more sharp, So I
Mhm.
think that's one of the things that we recommend for the companies to do it.
Awesome. I have a question for actually for Stefan. Thank you, Eduardo. So in particular, like Swiss Farm, yeah, I know you guys had an event in Switzerland. So Swiss Farm, here we're talking about NPS in the case. So NPS was the KPI that EMS measured. So Swiss Pharma is ROI driven and like very much data obsessed. What should they measure, and how soon do you think they should expect like results?
The key question again is the current status of your customer engagement and your understanding of quality.
Okay.
So what I definitely would look into is the adoption of the tool by the reps, because this is the first indicator if there's a positive experience by the reps using the tool, if the value is perceived, if they understand it helps them in their job. I guess this is the first kind of hard data you can look into.
Mhm.
The moment there is a pull, the moment the reps want to do it because they have understood it helps them, I guess you have achieved a lot. And this is exactly what EMS could show. This is why this case is so powerful, so strong. Beyond that, what I would look into is not necessarily the customer experience as it is used in pharma and life sciences today, because this always is a mix of user experience with the product and brand experience, either at the brand or the company level. What I would look into is an engagement experience. How satisfied are the customers and how open are they to engage? So what is it they're getting out of a conversation with a rep? What is it they're getting out of a touchpoint journey that really is tailored to their needs and that is continuously adapted to what happens on the customer side? I think those are the relevant aspects to be looked into first. And I truly believe you also could measure the accessibility of customers. So how likely it is you be allowed in, increase your face-to-face accessibility of customers, and also maybe increase the number of calls you can have in a given time, within a given time frame. Because if there's a perceived relevance on the customer side, I would assume, and this is what's shown in many other cases in similar scenarios, that there is an impact on these metrics. But this is all even before we get into sales. But I truly believe there are some hard facts you can look into, but the industry is not necessarily doing this up to now.
Makes sense, yeah, because like every farmer is very like, everyone's assessing individually, right? So the usage of the tool is going to be the first one. So internally, they have to align on like whether it's actually useful. Because I do believe in the usefulness of this. Because look, if F1 Formula, like Ayrton Senna, would be alive, he would have done these trainings as well, right? Before the going on track. So.
Yeah.
Salespeople do need to have this. The different question is like, are they stubborn enough to not do it, or are they like do they have the pig-headed discipline to implement like AI and then actually like sell more when
And
doing face to face?
if I'm allowed to add to that, and also to relate to what Eduardo said earlier, when you use this tool, you should be aware that you open up opportunities for reps to test and to further improve solutions for engaging with customers. What happens nowadays is a lot of money is spent on data management. The data lakes get bigger and deeper. A lot of sophisticated analytics is applied. We work with AI prediction engines right now to think of next best action. But in the end, whether a customer need, a customer preference is fully met, is happening in the moment of the engagement. So a rep needs to be prepared for what a rep may encounter when engaging with a customer, and a rep needs to know how to adapt to a given situation. And for me, a AI role play platform is the missing link in this overall concept, because you need to prepare reps for eventualities. Just telling a rep that the next best action is 70% likely to be the right thing in the next customer a rep sees tells the rep something different. It tells the rep there is a minimum of 3 out of 10 customers. This will be exactly the wrong thing. But to be prepared for alternative scenarios and to do this in a cost-efficient and high-quality way, this is what I think is the future use of the AI roleplay platforms beyond the great scenario shared by EMS and Marina today.
Awesome. I like the insights from Stefan. We guys are almost over with, we don't have any more questions, and we're over with our cast. If there is any closing notes, you guys can go ahead. Otherwise, thank you to all the listeners. that you guys came. It was amazing. Thank you for all the amazing questions. The deeper we get, the more we find about how you can, get your pharma up to speed. One more thing is that everyone who's going to be watching this, someone from Deepful will be reaching out and will be sending you the presentation in case you guys want. So you can see all the depth and how deepful the change was in EMS, so you can implement that in your company. So it's going to be either Eduardo or Fernanda, someone from the Deepful team. Any closing notes, guys?
Yes, if you can't sleep tonight because there's this other question you haven't asked on the webinar, put it in the chat, in the LinkedIn post comments. We still are there to answer your questions.
Very much obliged. Edu, you, Marina, guys.
Yes, I'll just like to say that if you want to talk more in depth, not with just the presentation, but if you want to talk more in depth, or you refer us to someone that want to meet us, just there's our website deepful.ai. You can go through there, or just go to my LinkedIn. It's very 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 simple. Text me a message and you can schedule. And just like saying thanks to both Stephans, really really cool to be here, and of course to Marina, our great partner here, to bring all this knowledge, I think, to everyone. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I
Obrigado.
think
Obrigado a todos.
my side, yeah, same thing. I'm open to talk more about it. You have my LinkedIn, and I am here. And thank you one more time, Eduardo, for the opportunity, and Stephens. It was a really good talk. It was a pleasure for me to be here today.
My pleasure, guys. My pleasure.
Thanks.
Thank you so much. See you on
Thank
the
you.
next webcast. All right.
Bye.